Good evening, y'all. Good evening, y'all. I had some technical difficulties a little bit ago, but I'm back because I'm determined to be obedient to what God told me to do today. So here I am. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. So, because it took me so long to get on tonight, I'm just going to go ahead and start. Just again, I'm here today out of obedience because I told the Lord I would come on and go live. So I'm going to do that and I'm going to share what he's been speaking to me about. Let me get situated here. So what I wanted to get on and talk about a little bit tonight is just the journey. The journey that you go on when you step out in faith to do what God is calling you to do. This journey, y'all, is not for the weak. It's not for the faint of heart. I'm telling you now. I learn this more and more the longer I'm on this journey. So I'm just going to backtrack for those of you guys who don't know like a little bit about my story or who I am. My name is Kayla Jolene, and when I started this channel, it was really to document my process because at the time God was calling me to quit my job and just pivot to a whole new direction. So that's why I initially started this channel to kind of document what it is God was having me do and how He was having me pivot from the field that I was in. Um, it's been one heck of a journey for sure, and my whole purpose in sharing my journey is to help encourage other people that may be going through the same thing. I feel like in this season, there's a lot of people that feel like they're in a period of transition or feel like God is like telling them to do something completely different than what they've previously done to this point. And it'd be things that people went to school for, things that, they planned for their lives, and the way they always saw their lives going. I feel like we've entered into the season where God is just shaking things up and calling people out to do something totally different. And it can be very scary to do. You can feel very uncertain when you're doing it. So I just want to talk a little bit about that journey because I think it's very critical just to share what goes on in the journey. Because if you don't share, people don't know. And when you don't know, a lot of the times you feel isolated or you feel like you're the only person dealing with what you're dealing with when you're stepping out on faith to do what God is calling you to do. And that is not the case. A lot of the times I notice when I talk to people just, in regular life that are on this journey or have been through what I'm going through, a lot of our stories are the same, but we wouldn't know that if we didn't talk to each other, if we didn't share what we were going through, if we didn't share what God was teaching us in the season and, how He's been guiding us and grooming us. So part of my act of obedience, part of my service is really just to do what God is calling me to do and step out of my comfort zone. Being on live, like I said, this is my second live. It took me freaking 3 tries to get this right because the first time the video was playing, but the audio was not coming through. I was supposed to go live like hours ago, okay? And I'm telling you, the enemy like did not want me to get on and go live for whatever reason. So that made me even more determined to get here, which is why it's freaking 11:14 at night, and I'm just now getting on YouTube when I should be asleep. But I'm here, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be able to obey what God is calling me to do. I'm happy to be able to encourage anybody else. who may be in a season of transition, who may be in a season of stepping out into this new journey and it's unfamiliar territory. That's okay if it's unfamiliar. I want other people to know that it's like, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay not to know what you're doing or, how to go about the things that God is calling you to do. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that. So again, for those of you who don't know, um, I was in dentistry for like 15 years. I went to Pitt initially for sociology, actually, but I always planned to kind of circle back and use that in dentistry, and then eventually go to dental school. That was my game plan. I wanted to be a dentist. Like, that was just that. But God definitely had some other plans, and I didn't find out about those until like last year. But anyway, so I was in the dental field for 15 years, loved what I did. And back in January, God called me to quit. He's like, hey, it's time to pack it up. I got some other things I need for you to do. No, I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but I need you to trust me, and I need you to step out. So initially, I was just kind of like, are you sure? Like, maybe I'm just, hearing this. Maybe I'm just making this up because my work environment was getting a little bit more tense. I feel like it was, I don't know, it's like the favor that I had there was lifting. It wasn't the same as when I first came in. And I think, of course, looking back on it now, that was just another sign that it was time to move on. Like, God was showing me, like, hey, I'm lifting the favor from this area because I'm placing it somewhere else, and I need you to follow my lead. So, but again, hindsight, you look back at it now and you're like, okay, I get this. That makes sense. But at the time, I just wasn't sure. I'm like, how often is it that, you feel like God is like telling you to do something, and it seems so opposite of the way you should do it or how other people would do it or what you've seen done? And I'm learning, I'm learning that a lot of the times that's how God operates with us. A lot of the times when God is calling you to do something or asking you to do something, it's not going to look like the traditional route. It's not going to look like necessarily what you've seen done. It's not going to look like something that makes sense. And that is apparently how God likes to operate, because when the thing happens or when you step out and follow him anyway, even when it doesn't make sense and he lines things up, he gets the glory from that. He alone gets the glory. And I'm realizing that that is the point too. He wants the glory and he wants your trust. He wants you to trust him and be willing to do something that's outside of your comfort zone, even if you don't understand at the moment why. Okay. But anyways, like I was saying, back in January, God called me to quit my job. I wasn't sure about it at first. I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I did it. I was like, okay, Lord, I'll go with it. Like, and the moment that I did that, I walked straight into like a wilderness. I'll call it. It was a wilderness season. And to be honest, I'm still there, Loki. A different wilderness, but a wilderness, so to speak. It's this place of like uncertainty. It's a place of total reliance and dependent on God's guidance. Um, and it can be kind of scary sometimes. And that is really, really common. Like, I don't want you to feel alone if you ever feel like you're in a season where God's called you to do something and then you do it and you feel like afraid or you feel like just not sure of yourself. It's okay. Just trust the process. That's a part of it. I've noticed that, when you step out in this journey and you're like, okay, Lord, I surrender, the way I want to do things, I surrender, all of myself to you, however you want to do it. When you do that, you're basically saying, I'm okay with you basically taking anything off me, anything from me that shouldn't be there, anything from me that can't go with me to the next. So you literally volunteer yourself to go into a season of refinement. And that is a big portion of what the journey is about. When you're stepping out and you're doing something that God is calling you to do, you are stepping into a very tense season, a season of stretching, a season of shedding away of like the old things that you may have known or found comfort in. And I believe that what God is showing me and teaching me, that part of the reason for that is because he doesn't want us to place our comfort in things. He doesn't want us to place our comfort in a job or our comfort in a paycheck or place our comfort in, doing the acceptable thing, people pleasing. He wants us to place our comfort in Him alone. He wants us to place our trust in Him alone. And I'm learning that this is a big part of the journey. It's a big part of what God is, you know, calling us to do. It's not just me. I know there's many of you out there who have stepped out to do something God said or build something that He told you to build, creating the new thing. And you're in the middle of that season and it doesn't look like what you thought it would look like. It's like the way God does things when it comes to the kingdom and kingdom work is so contrary to the way the world does things and so contrary to the way that we would want to do things. We want to step out into a journey and we want to go straight up. Like we want to step out from the old thing that we've done, knowing that we're obeying God and like go straight to the top right away. And that's just not the case, and it's like if God allowed that to happen, I feel like a lot of us wouldn't make it on the journey anyway. If He took us directly out of what we were doing and took us straight to the top of another thing, I don't think we'd be well equipped to handle the thing He's trying to give us. So although the season of refinement and the season of, being in this wilderness of uncertainty is uncomfortable, it's so necessary. I'd rather be uncomfortable in the wilderness where I have time to grow and God has time to groom me and teach me what I need to know and, take things off me that don't need to be there. I'd rather be in that season, and figure it out during that season than have to figure that out when I made it to where God is sending me, when I make it to the top or when I make it to the promised land. It's like, that's not the time to get to where you're going and then not be able to hold on to it. Like, it's not the time for that. And I feel like if we rush the season of the, this part of the journey where we're being refined and it's very uncomfortable and you're uncertain of your next steps, if we rush that process because we're so like ready to be comfortable again, we're not going to end up being as comfortable as we think in the first place. We have to take the time, we have to allow the time for refinement. We have to allow the time in the journey to be uncomfortable. It's like, again, it doesn't do us any service to rush it. We have to allow God to do things in His timing, and He knows what's best for us. He knows the things that can't go with us to our next. And it's funny, like for me in this season, one of the things I always equate this refinement to is like being in the furnace. Like I feel like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Like it's a time of like pressure and heat, and I was talking to God about this and I'm like, Lord, like, this season is uncomfortable. Like, I feel like I'm literally in a furnace here. Like, what is going on? Like, I know this is what you told me to do. I know this is what you said, and I'm standing on it. So why all the pressure? Why do I feel this heat, surrounding me? And He's like, you feel the heat because you are in the furnace. This is a season of refinement. He's like, but even though you feel like you're in the furnace alone, you're not. I know you don't got Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego with you, but he's like, you got the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So even though I'm in that fire, I'm still standing in there, 4 strong. I still have the protection of my Father, even in the fire. And He's like, you might be in this fire, but understand that you're not going to burn. When I place you in this fire for refinement, well, not even place you, I will say this. I feel like it was the enemy that placed me in the fire, but I feel like God allowed it because He's like, I'm not going to stop you from going in the fire. I'm just going to help, change the situation around so that that fire that was meant to harm you is not going to harm you. The fire is now going to refine you, and it's only going to bring the impurities to the surface. It's only going to bring the things to the surface that can't go with you to your next. So in this, period of refinement, in this furnace that I'm in, I know that I'm not alone. I know that I got the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit with me. And that even though the pressure is on and the heat is up, that I'm not going to be burned. All I have to do is stand in that refinement. All I have to do is just stand, just be, and allow the things that need to come to the surface so that they can be burned off. Because that's the only thing that's going to burn. When you're stepping out and doing what God is telling you to do, and you feel like you're right in the midst of that furnace, you don't have to worry. You do not have to worry. God is not going to let you be harmed. When you're obedient to what he's calling you to do, he always makes a way. And sometimes he uses the very thing that was meant to come at us, the very thing that was meant to harm us or try to take us out. He uses that very thing to refine us and to make us into the version that he always saw us being, to make us into, the version of us that is able to handle the top, was able to handle the promised land. So I just want to encourage you, if you feel like you're in that season, if you feel like, man, I've stepped out, I'm on this journey that I know God has called me to, and now I'm uncomfortable. Now I don't feel like I have what I need. Now I feel like everything is coming against me all at once, and I'm in this fire, and it's hot, and it's uncomfortable, and I feel alone. Breathe. Just know that you're not alone. God is standing there right with you, and you may be in the fire, but just know that he's going to use that very fire to refine you. He's going to use that very fire to bring to the surface the things that can't go with you to the place he wants to send you. And that's only for your benefit. You do not want to get to where you're going and not be able to handle it. You do not want to get to where you're going and literally fumble the bag. Like, you have to take your time, and you have to allow God to take the time that he sees fit with you to get these things up off you that can't go. Again, I always say it, this journey is not for the faint of heart. You will feel uncomfortable, and you'll really have to do some self-evaluating to see, why do I feel uncomfortable? What is so hard about this period or this stretching that I'm going through? And like, for me, I had to be honest with myself. Like, being on the journey is great. It's exciting to step out. It's exciting to leave my job, knowing that it was what God was calling me to do, knowing it was like a radical act of obedience. Like, that was dope to me. But the real work began once I left. That wilderness season is something else. When you're out here, you're not sure of yourself, and everything you were once attached to, you're no longer attached to, and you feel like just so free on one end, but like aimless on the other. It is a weird feeling, and it's not something you like easily get used to, but you just keep hearing God's voice. You keep staying in his presence, and he keeps directing your steps. So you just, you learn that pace, you learn that rhythm. But just know, as you learn that, he's still going to take it up a notch. He's still going to do a little bit more refining. He's still going to stretch you a little further so that you come to a place of total reliance on him and total trust in him. And like I was saying, I had to come to a place with myself and really just be honest, like, what makes this season uncomfortable? What makes stepping out and doing what God is calling me to do uncomfortable? What makes me feel uncertain? And what it really comes down to is not being able to say for certain that this is how I'm going to provide for myself, to not be able to rest in the comfort of the things that I once held comfort in. When you have a regular job, you get your 2-week paychecks and boom, 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 you're good. You're relying on that job. You're relying on that paycheck. But in the season that I've been in, God's like, I need you to totally rely on me, not nobody's paycheck, not, anything that you once found comfort in. I need you to rely on me and me alone. And that makes me uncomfortable. I had to be very honest. That makes me uncomfortable because it's not something that I physically see. Like, I can't see God, even though I hear him and I talk to him. But it's like, because I can't see it and I'm used to being able to see and provide things for myself, it takes another level of stretching to say, okay, Lord, like, I know I said I submit to you, but I'm going to submit like all of me to you. That takes a whole different level of submission. Sorry. Ashley, you told me, girl, listen, it's real. I'm glad you understand it, because man, when I tell you, sometimes it just feels like you be out here by yourself. It really does. So yeah, I'm glad you get it. It's real. God, like, he does things a whole new way. And it's like, just trying to get comfortable in that is still uncomfortable. He'll guide you, but girl, it's uncomfortable. Listen, I'm with you on that. Like, Ashley, I'm exactly in the same boat. And I'm like, Lord, okay, you told me to leave, but how come I had to get like so low? Like, whatever lesson you're trying to teach me, like, let me learn it now because I got bills. Like, but again, what I'm learning is I want the comfort of relying in that. I want to be able to rely on a paycheck. I want to have consistent income that I know where it's coming from, like right away. But God's like, I know you've been putting comfort in that, but I need you to put your comfort in me. I know you don't feel comfortable or you don't feel at peace right now, but like, He's teaching me to stretch. He's teaching me to really fully rely on Him, like, not just as the source, but like even my resources. He's like, everything you have comes from me, and I need to show you that now. So my mindset, I've been trying to shift it. Like, I've really been trying to shift my mindset and just think like, this has to be for a reason. Like, this refinement that I have to go through is for a reason. Like, maybe God is allowing me to get so low because He wants to take me up higher. He wants to elevate me. But if I can do it myself, how does He get the glory? If I can lift myself up, if I can pay everything on my own when I want to, what faith does that cause me to use? I don't have to use any faith for that because I see right in front of me. But God's like, I need to build your faith for what I'm going to do next. I need you to see me. I need you to hear me. And I need you to trust me only. But it is the most uncomfortable thing in the world. Actually, let's see, since January, I quit my job. So it's been since then. This is September, about 9 months. Yeah. So it's been a decent amount of time. I mean, it seems like it's been longer than that, but it's still been long enough. But I have not worked. Like I was saying before, I used to be in the dental field. So I was a dental assistant and a dental implant coordinator for about 15, it'd be 15 years in August or in October. But I haven't been back. I have not been back since January. So it's been interesting. Let me see what you say. Talking to God about. Yep. Exactly. Daughter of God. Yes, that's exactly it. It's like he wants to be your safety net. He's like, no backup plans. I'm the plan A, I'm the plan B, I'm all the plans. Like, I'm all the plans. That's it. Like, and he's been making that so clear to me because I'm like, I mean, what other reason would he allow us to get so low? And I think it's specific with finances because, again, finances, that holds so much power, you know what I mean, over us, over the decisions we make, over jobs we take, over things we do and don't do. So I think God places special emphasis on the finances, at least with me. I feel like a part of the reason why He's having me to focus so much on that is because He's like, I know if I can get your full trust with your finances being low, that I really have your trust. Like, if I can test anything, I know that if I test your money and you still rock with me and you still obey me and you still trust me, that I can trust you with much more because you're relying on me, not the money, you know? So it's, yeah, when I tell you I feel your pain, I really do. Oh, I feel that, Ashley. Listen, I haven't applied for any more dental jobs, but every day I was like on this dental assistant, like, I don't know, it's like a temp job list or whatever. Every day I get texts about jobs in my area for dental assistants and all this stuff every day. And like, I started just deleting them. I'm like, I'm not even gonna look at these somewhere. I'm just gonna keep deleting them. Bank account going down, but I'm deleting it. Like, I'm like, Lord, do what you do. And I will say, He has been coming through financially, even though it's like such a weird season. He'll really just like show up and show out. Like, I remember the one day I was talking to God and I'm like, I was getting excited, even though my bank account was low. I'm like, Lord, like I'm shifting my mindset. Like, I'm gonna get to see what it's like for my Father in heaven to provide for me. Like, I got really excited, like legit, y'all. I was super excited, just ready to see how God would come through for me, right? And I just kept saying that. Now, mind you, like, nobody knew that my finances were low. I didn't like tell anybody. But I was just excited because I just knew God was going to do something. I just was like, you know what? I know you got me. So like, I think I was going to the mall. I was meeting up with my dad and my brother to go, like, he had to try on something for his suit for a wedding. So I meet up with my dad and he's brought me like some little popcorn or something like that. Then he hands me this envelope out of the blue and it's a check for $1,200. Now, mind you, he didn't know anything that he didn't know anything that was going on in my finances. But just that morning, I literally was talking to God and I'm like, Father, I want to know what it's like for my Father in heaven to provide for me. Like, I know you got me. And it's funny because it's like God has such a sense of humor. It's like, how fitting is it that He used my earthly father to bless me, to kind of show me also what my heavenly Father is doing in the season? Like, I burst out into tears immediately, y'all. Like, immediately. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Yes, daughter of God. He's definitely that's what it's about. He's teaching us to walk by faith. Like, for real. That's the whole point. Hey, mom. Yes, he's definitely building my faith, and I'm trying. I'm standing strong. Oh, Ashley, girl, listen. Let me tell you, there'll be a lot of crying. Okay, I cry a lot. Okay, I cry a lot, especially since I quit my job. And it's not always bad tears, but it's that feeling of isolation. It's feeling like only you are the one who's going through what you're going through, or you're the only one that God is calling to go about things a certain way, or blocking you from a certain job, or blocking you from hanging out with certain people. Like, you feel like it's just you, and sometimes you just cry. You just cry. I cry when I'm praying. I cry when I'm praising. I cry when I'm excited. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm uncertain. Like, I feel like this wilderness season is the most crying I've ever done in my life. Like, I cry all the time. And I'm a very happy person, but I cry all the time, and sometimes it's just because of how good God is. And it's like, I'm blessed and I'm thankful that He's allowing me to go through this season, even though it's hard. But He keeps telling me, like, I know the weight that you're carrying feels like a lot, but you can handle it. You can handle it. And because you're standing strong, because you're obeying me, because you're stepping out on faith and willing to look a little crazy for the way I'm calling you to do it, just know that when I bring you out of this, everybody connected with you is coming. So for me, that motivates me so much to know that, like, just because I'm willing to stand, just because I'm willing to give God my yes, just because I'm willing to step out in obedience, even in uncertainty, you're telling me that everybody connected to me, my family, my friends, the people I care most about, are also going to make it through, are also going to be blessed, are also going to get to see miraculous things. Like, bruh, if anything helps me stand strong and, like, stick to this, that is it. Like, that just gives me so much more peace, and it helps me, like, I don't know, it just rises something up in me that's like, you know what? If I gotta stand, if I gotta deal with this, if I gotta look crazy, I'm gonna look crazy. Because about me and my family, I'm going to stand and look crazy then until we all get this thing, because I want us all to have the best things that God has for us. And I don't think that that's something that's just like for a later time. Like, I feel like God is saying, I want to bless you with those things now, but I got to prepare you for it, because I want you to keep the things I want to bless you with. I don't want you to get them and then lose them. So it makes it a little difficult, I will say, as seasons. Um, Thanks, daughter of God. I'm glad I'm not alone, because Lord knows if you feeling like it. Oh, yeah. Honestly, I feel like that's the only thing that I really can cling to in this season, because He's been strategic about stripping just about everything else away. It's like there's certain friends who allow me to still hang out with, well, really like one. But he'll let me hang out with like one friend, pretty much my mom and my husband. And it's like, it's been such a close knit thing, because I think he's been strategic about a certain level of isolation so that he does get my full attention and my full dependence on him. It's like, I'm noticing that he's very specific right now about who I'm around and what I can do. And a lot of the time, again, since I quit in January, a lot of the time that I've spent has been alone. It's time alone. It's in the Word. It's like reading my Bible. It's praying. It's talking to God. It's praising, or just being. But it's a time of being alone, not lonely, but alone. And I know that that's on purpose, because God really does want to refine me and wants to, like, he has to kind of get you away so you can hear him. And I know it's got to be the same for so many other people. It's like when you walk through these seasons, these wilderness seasons, you're not always in a big crowd of people. Sometimes it's just you and God. Actually, a lot of the time it's just you and God. And that's the way he wants it. I noticed times where I would try to link up with people or try to do things, it would get shut down immediately. And I'm like, dang, Lord, like, I can't hang out with nobody. Like, but he's like, you know what? I'm your bestie right now. I'm your ride or die right now. Like, I need your full attention. I need you to sit with me. I need you to talk with me, and he's trying to cultivate and groom some things in me. So I'm like, I'll stand. But to be honest, part of what helps that for me is doing things like this. Even though, like I said, I'm still new to live. This is only my second live, and y'all are helping me not feel so uncomfortable because Lord knows I'd be uncomfortable. I'm okay with a video, but the live is a new level for me. So, but yes, stuff like this though helps because it's like, one, I'm getting to document the journey, and I can look back on it and see how God's brought me from like just a few months ago. So that's helpful. Two, knowing that I get to help somebody else, knowing that sharing the struggles or the things that I go through is helping to encourage somebody else. Man, that helps a lot too, because you feel like, okay, I'm not doing this alone. It's not just me, and I get to help somebody else. Like, I get to encourage somebody else off the things that are uncomfortable that I'm going through. Okay, great. Like, that just helps me stand. So I appreciate y'all so much. Seriously, like, you don't even know. It's just the little things. Especially like even with this live, like I said at the beginning, I almost didn't do it. I tried 3 times to do this thing. The video wasn't acting right. The sound wasn't coming on right. I waited too long. Like, all of a sudden it was almost midnight, and I'm like, I'm tired. But I told the Lord yesterday, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go live tomorrow. I'm just going to speak what you've been saying to me. I'm going to share a little bit about my journey in hopes to encourage somebody else who's starting a journey with you or on a journey. And I wanted to obey what he was asking me to do, and I wanted to be diligent and trying to be consistent. Like, if I say I'm going to do it, then I'm going to do it. Even if it is late as heck, I was like, I'm going to do it, So I'm glad that I did get to come on. And I'm glad that I got to, talk to you guys, Ashley, daughter of God. I'm glad that, that we can encourage each other. Let me just tell you, I really, really am. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ashley. I'm trying. My plan was to go live a couple times this week. I just have to write down like a little bit of a structure, even though I really don't feel like I stuck to probably anything I wrote down. So, but I am planning to get back on this week to go live again. And now that I have a better idea of how it works from my laptop, hopefully it'll be a lot less glitches and no sound issues next time. So that's my plan. But I appreciate y'all for being on here, seriously, because this live thing, oh my gosh, yeah, like I'd be uncomfortable. But again, my whole purpose on getting on was really just to encourage somebody else, and to obey what God was calling me to do, and just say, like, you're not alone. Like, if you're on this journey and you're not sure of why things feel the way they do, or you're uncomfortable, or you're being stretched in ways you've never been stretched, or you're crying like you've never cried, girl, you're on the right track. I know it don't feel like it, but you're on the right track. Like, God got you right where he needs you to be. You're doing what he needs you to do. Just keep standing strong. Keep taking another step, even if the step is uncertain, even if you don't know where your foot's going to land. Know that God's got you and he's guiding you, and he'll direct your path as you go. So again, I appreciate y'all for being on. I don't know if y'all subscribed or whatever, because I always forget to say it at the end, but hopefully you guys are subscribers. I would love for you to be. You could also follow me on my Instagram page. I made a page specifically about journey stuff. Like, it's all about just this journey that we are on right now, stepping out to follow God. So if y'all want to connect with me on Instagram, I'm there on full circle faith _ don't forget the underscore, but full circle faith _ on Instagram. That way we can just chat and whatever, share our stories. But I will be back. I'm going to mark it down now. I'm going to say it now, so I'm going to have to stick to it. I'll come back on this week. I'm not sure what day yet, but I'll come back on this week and go live. I'll put it in the chat, because hold on. It's full circle faith _ Yep, and that's on Instagram. So I look forward to connecting with y'all later, and I'll be back this week. All right, I hope y'all have a good night, and enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to bed. I don't even know what time it is. Yeah, I'm going to bed. But I appreciate you guys. Hang in there. All right.